Ladies and gentlemen, there is a time for everything under the sun, time to embrace and a time to refrain. As we walk through life, we will encounter all types of people, some sent by purpose and others sent by distraction. Some build and others destroy. Toxic people are not just inconvenient, they are dangerous to your destiny. You must learn how to discern, define, and distance yourself from the spirits that threaten your assignment. You are not called to be everyone's friend. You are called to fulfill purpose, and you cannot afford to let toxic people derail what heaven has designed. Let me show you 6 clever ways to handle toxic people, not in fear, not in pride, but in wisdom, truth, and power. 1. Set boundaries without apology. Every garden must have a gate. Even Eden had limits. Toxic people thrive in places where there are no walls. It is not unloving to say no. It is wisdom. Boundaries are not rejection. They are protection. Love does not mean unlimited access. Learn to guard your heart without guilt. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. 2. Discern the spirit behind the person. You are not wrestling with flesh and blood. Toxicity is often a symptom of a deeper spiritual reality. You must train your spirit to see beyond the smile, beyond the charm, beyond the flattery. Ask, what spirit is this operating under? Once you discern, you can decide wisely. By their fruit, you will know them. 3. Don't react. Respond in truth. Toxic people feed off emotional reaction. If they can get you angry, defensive, or bitter, they've already won. But wisdom teaches you to respond instead of react. Don't fight flesh with flesh. Speak truth in love, stay rooted in peace, and do not descend to their level. A gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. 4. Limit access. Not love, you can love someone from a distance. Forgiveness is a command, but reconciliation is conditional. Just because you forgive them doesn't mean you have to keep dining at their table. Jesus loved everyone, but he didn't invite everyone into his inner circle. Your peace is sacred. 5. Stay anchored in your identity. Toxic people manipulate your sense of self. They make you doubt your worth, your purpose, your call. The only antidote is identity. Know who you are. Know whose you are. Stand on the truth of your calling. When you are rooted in your divine identity, no toxin can shake you. 6. Walk away when assignment ends. There are seasons when God will ask you to leave. Not in hatred, not in bitterness, but in obedience. Don't hold on to what he told you to release. Toxic relationships often persist because we won't close the door. Sometimes peace is on the other side of goodbye. Let me tell you something important. You have the right to protect your peace. You have the right to protect your time, your energy, your purpose, and your heart. You don't have to feel guilty for saying no. You don't have to apologize for walking away from people who drain you, disrespect you, or keep hurting you. One of the most powerful things you can ever learn in life is how to set healthy boundaries. What is a boundary? A boundary is simply a line that says, "This is where I end, and this is where you begin." It is a way of protecting what is valuable. Think about your home. You wouldn't leave the doors wide open and let just anyone walk in. Take your food, sleep in your bed, and speak to you however they want. No, you lock your door, not because you hate people, but because you value what's inside. In the same way, your heart, your mind, your life, they all need boundaries. Now some people might say, but isn't that selfish? Not at all. It's not selfish to protect yourself from harm. It's wise. It's not unloving to say, I can't continue like this. It's necessary. You were not created to be abused, manipulated, or controlled by anyone. You were created to live with peace and purpose. And sometimes, to keep that peace, you have to draw a line. The problem is, many of us feel guilty when we try to set boundaries. We've been trained to think that saying yes to everyone is the loving thing to do. But here's the truth. Constantly saying yes to everyone else can mean saying no to yourself. And worse, saying no to what God has called you to do. You can't fulfill your purpose if you're always trying to please people who don't care about your calling. Some people will not like it when you start setting boundaries. They will say you've changed. They will call you rude or cold. But the truth is, they just miss the version of you that they could walk all over. They miss the you that allowed their toxic behavior without consequences. But you are not called to make everyone comfortable. You are called to live in truth and wisdom. Let's be honest. Some people take advantage of your kindness. They know you're soft-hearted, so they push and pull and take all they can, and if you don't stop them, they'll keep doing it. That's why you have to make a decision. I will not let anyone rob me of my peace anymore. You don't have to shout it. You don't have to be angry, but you do have to be clear. When you say, I can't stay on the phone for hours anymore, you're setting a boundary. When you say, I need some time for myself, you're setting a boundary. When you say, I won't accept being yelled at, you're setting a boundary. When you say, I love you, but I can't be around this kind of negativity, you're setting a boundary. And every time you do that, you are teaching people how to treat you. You are also honoring yourself and honoring God, because God never asked you to become a doormat for someone else's dysfunction. He wants you to love others, yes, but not to lose yourself in the process. One of the strongest examples in life is Jesus. He loved deeply, but he also set boundaries. He didn't allow everyone close to him. He often withdrew from the crowds. He spent time alone. He didn't respond to every demand. He didn't allow manipulation. And when it was time to confront or walk away, he did so with peace and purpose. That is wisdom. That is strength. Let me remind you again, setting a boundary is not rejecting a person. It's rejecting the behavior that harms your life. And if a person really loves and respects you, they will honor your boundaries. If they get angry or try to guilt you, then that is a sign that they were not interested in relationship. They were interested in control. You are allowed to choose who has access to your space. Not everyone deserves a front row seat in your life. Some people are only meant to observe from a distance, and that's okay. You're not being mean. You're being mature. I know this isn't always easy, especially when it's family, close friends, or people you've known for years. But even in those cases, boundaries are still important. In fact, sometimes it's those closest to us who need them the most. You can love someone and still say, this behavior isn't okay. You can forgive someone and still say, I won't let this continue. That is not hate, that is healthy. As you grow, you will learn that peace is priceless. Your mental health, your spiritual life, your emotional well-being, these things matter. And when you allow toxic people to have constant access, they slowly chip away at your strength. You end up tired, stressed, confused, and far from the person God created you to be. But when you start setting boundaries, something changes. You begin to feel lighter. You begin to think clearly. You begin to see who truly values you. Your energy comes back. Your creativity returns. Your joy grows again. That's what happens when you choose wisdom over guilt. So today, I encourage you to be bold. Don't wait for someone else to protect your life. Don't keep waiting for the toxic person to change. Start taking responsibility for your space. Start guarding your peace. Start honoring the voice inside that says, I deserve better than this. You were not created to live under pressure, manipulation, or fear. You were created to live in freedom with purpose and direction. And the first step to walking in that freedom is setting clear, strong, and loving boundaries. And when you do, do it without apology. Because your peace is worth it, your purpose is worth it, and you are worth it. Sometimes in life we meet people who seem kind on the outside. They smile, speak politely, and may even appear helpful. But over time, we begin to feel something is not right. We feel drained after talking to them. We feel confused by their actions. We start to doubt ourselves. We feel like we're being controlled or constantly walking on eggshells. Even though there are no loud signs, something deep inside tells us that something is off. That something is your spirit speaking. It's the quiet voice within you that senses what your eyes cannot see. That's called discernment. Discernment is not about judging people or hating them. It's not about looking for flaws or assuming the worst in everyone. It's about recognizing what is influencing someone's behavior. People can be used for good or for harm, and sometimes they are being influenced by things even they don't fully understand. They may not even realize that their behavior is toxic or harmful, but your spirit knows when something is not healthy for you. And it's important to listen. You cannot afford to just look at the surface. Not everyone who says the right things has the right heart. Some people have a sweet tongue but a bitter spirit. Some know how to speak your language, but their intentions are not pure. And if you're not careful, you'll be pulled into a relationship, friendship, or situation that looks harmless on the outside, but is slowly draining your strength, joy, and peace. That's why it's important to slow down and pay attention. Don't get too impressed by charm. Don't be fooled by how someone looks or even how well they talk about spiritual things. Some people know how to say all the right words, but their heart is full of pride, jealousy, control, or hidden agendas. They wear a mask, and if you don't take time to pray and observe, you may fall for the mask instead of seeing the truth. When you meet someone new, or even if you're already dealing with someone who feels difficult, ask yourself this: what kind of fruit is their life producing? Do I feel peace around them or constant stress? Do I feel encouraged or do I feel small and drained? Do they bring confusion or clarity? The answers to those questions will help you see beyond the surface. Because we're not just dealing with people, we are dealing with the spirits, attitudes, and intentions behind them. Some people are led by love. Others are led by pride. Some are influenced by fear, pain, or past trauma, and that pain spills out in how they treat others. Still, others are driven by control, manipulation, or insecurity, and that shows in how they interact. If you only look at what they say or how they appear, you'll miss what's really going on. Sometimes a person can say they love you, but their actions make you feel trapped, belittled, or unworthy. That's not love, that's control, and control doesn't come from a good place. It comes from fear or pride, and often from a deep need to dominate. If you don't recognize that early, you'll allow that person to lead you away from who you are supposed to be. You must always listen to the voice inside that says, something's not right here. Don't ignore that feeling. That's your spirit giving you an early warning. Don't wait for the damage to become obvious. Don't wait until you're in a mess you can't easily walk away from. The sooner you discern, the sooner you can protect yourself from harm. This doesn't mean we see demons in everyone. It doesn't mean we become paranoid or suspicious of every person we meet. It means we stay spiritually awake, we stay aware, we stay prayerful, we ask for wisdom, we stay alert so we can recognize when something is pulling us away from peace, purpose, and truth. It's also important to know that not every toxic person is evil. Some are simply broken, some are hurting, some don't know how to communicate or love in a healthy way because they've never been taught. You can have compassion for them, you can pray for them, but compassion doesn't mean you allow yourself to be damaged. You can care without getting caught in their chaos. You can love them without losing yourself. And sometimes, even good people can carry a wrong spirit for a season. Just because someone is a friend or family member doesn't mean they're always right for your inner circle. You must be willing to say, I need some space. Not because you hate them, but because you recognize that their current behavior is not helping your growth. And that's okay. That's wisdom. It also helps to understand that people are sometimes used by something bigger than themselves. There are spiritual influences in this world, good and bad. Sometimes those influences work through people to either build us up or bring us down. That's why it's so important to stay connected to your faith, to pray for insight, and to keep your spirit strong. Because when your spirit is healthy, you can see clearly. You can feel when something is not of love, not of peace, not of truth. And once you recognize that, you can take the right steps to guard your heart. Discernment is a gift, but it's also a skill. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. Pay attention to patterns, not just words. Watch what people do over time, not just what they promise. Look at how they treat others, not just how they treat you when they want something. Ask yourself, does this relationship draw me closer to purpose, or does it distract me? Do I feel safe to be myself, Or do I feel like I have to shrink? These are not small questions. These are life-saving questions. Because the wrong person with the wrong spirit in the wrong season can delay your purpose. But when you are wise, when you are prayerful, and when you trust your discernment, you protect your future. You protect your peace, and you stay aligned with the path you are meant to walk. So be kind, but be clear. Be loving, but be wise. Be open-hearted, but never ignore the warning signs. People may be the face, but the spirit is what truly drives them. Always look deeper and trust what you feel in your spirit. It may just be the voice that saves you. There will always be people in life who test your patience. They will say things that hurt, do things that disappoint, and sometimes treat you in ways that feel unfair. It's a part of life. People are not perfect. Everyone has weaknesses, and unfortunately, some people don't know how to treat others with kindness or respect. When you face these kinds of people, the natural thing to do is to react. You want to say something back. You want to defend yourself. You want to raise your voice. You want to prove your point. You want them to feel what you felt. That's a reaction. And most of the time, reactions are fast, emotional, and driven by how we feel in the moment. But reacting quickly out of anger or frustration rarely helps the situation. In fact, it often makes things worse. When we react without thinking, we usually say things we regret. We act out of hurt, and then we create more hurt. It becomes a cycle of pain. Someone hurts you, you react in anger. They react to your reaction, and now both people are upset, bitter, or distant. Nothing gets healed and the damage grows. There is a better way. Instead of reacting, we can learn to respond. Responding is different. Responding means you pause, you take a breath, you think before you speak, you ask yourself, what is the truth in this moment? What is the wise thing to do? What will bring peace instead of more chaos? Responding is not about pretending everything is okay or staying silent forever. It's about answering with calm, strength, and wisdom. It's about speaking truth without losing your peace. Sometimes, silence is a powerful response. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't have to explain yourself to people who don't want to understand you. You don't have to fight every little battle. When you respond instead of react, you're choosing peace over pride. You're choosing self-control over chaos. You're choosing wisdom over war. This doesn't mean you allow people to walk over you. It doesn't mean you accept disrespect. It means you handle disrespect in a way that protects your own peace. You speak the truth, but you do it without shouting. You stand your ground, but you do it without hurting others. You protect your heart without letting anger take over. That is real strength. Sometimes, people will try to push your button. They may insult you, lie about you, or try to make you feel small. Their goal is to get a reaction from you. They want you to lose your temper. They want to drag you into their level of drama. But you don't have to go there. You don't have to play their game. You can choose to rise above it. You can choose to stay calm, and when you do, it confuses them, because people who feed off conflict don't know what to do with someone who refuses to fight back. You must understand that not everything deserves your energy. Your peace is too valuable to be thrown away over every comment or insult. The truth is, your reaction is what toxic people feed on. They want attention, and if you give them your anger, you're giving them power. But when you respond with calm truth, when you stay grounded, you take back your power. You become the one in control. Not of them, but of yourself. It takes maturity to do this. It's not easy, especially when you're hurt, misunderstood, or attacked. It's hard to stay quiet when your heart wants to speak. It's hard to stay calm when everything inside you wants to fight. But growth is not easy, and strength is not loud. Sometimes the strongest people are the quietest ones. They don't need to prove anything. They don't need to shout. They just know who they are, and they let truth speak for itself. Responding in truth means you're honest, but you're not cruel. It means you deal with the situation, but you don't create more damage. It means you take a moment to breathe, pray, reflect, and then you speak from a place of love, not from a place of hurt. You ask yourself, will what I'm about to say bring healing or more pain? If it brings healing, speak it. If it brings more pain, hold it. There is also another side to this. Sometimes the truth you need to respond with is not for them, but for you. You need to remind yourself of who you are. You need to tell yourself the truth when others try to lie about you. You need to hold onto your worth, your value, and your purpose, even when others try to tear you down. That's a response too. It's a response to negativity by choosing not to believe it. Not everyone is going to understand you. Not everyone is going to treat you well, but you don't have to become like them. You don't have to return evil for evil. You can be different. You can be better. You can choose to respond with grace, with dignity, and with quiet strength. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is walk away, not out of weakness, but out of wisdom. You don't need to win every argument. You don't need to change every person. You don't need to fight every battle. Some things are not worth your peace. Some people are not ready for truth, and that's okay. Let your actions speak louder than your words. Let your life show who you are, even when your words are misunderstood. So the next time you feel hurt, angry, or upset, take a moment. Don't let your first emotion lead your next action. Don't let your pain choose your response. Pause, think, pray, and then choose the response that protects your peace, honors your truth, and helps you grow. You are not weak for staying calm. You are not soft for choosing peace. You are wise, you are strong, and you are walking in a better way. Sometimes in life, you will meet people who mean a lot to you. They could be family, old friends, people from your past, or even those you've helped and cared for deeply. You might have memories with them, strong feelings for them, or a long history. But at some point, you begin to notice that being around them does not bring peace. It brings confusion, pain, or even stress. You love them, but being close to them drains your energy or pulls you into unhealthy situations. This is not easy to admit, and even harder to act on, because your heart cares. You don't want to hurt them. You don't want to walk away. You still love them. But the truth is, sometimes you need to make a choice not to stop loving them, but to stop giving them so much access to your life. There's a big difference between love and access. Love is what you feel in your heart. It's the way you care, forgive, and wish the best for someone. Access is what you allow in your life. Your time, your space, your thoughts, your emotions. You can love someone deeply and still decide that they can't have full access to your heart anymore. You can forgive them, pray for them, and hope they grow, but that doesn't mean they get to come and go in your life however they want. That doesn't mean you keep the door open to constant pain or confusion. Some people may never understand this. They will say, if you loved me, you wouldn't pull away. But that's not true. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself and for them is to create distance. Not out of hate, but out of wisdom. Because when someone keeps hurting you, whether they mean to or not, it's your responsibility to protect your peace. You can't control how others behave, but you can choose what you allow in your life. There are people who mean well but cause harm. They may not realize how their words affect you. They may not see how their actions make you feel small, guilty, or unimportant. And if you keep allowing them close without any change, the pattern continues. You start losing your joy. You start questioning your worth. You feel stuck in a cycle. That's when you know it's time to make a change. You don't have to make a big announcement. You don't have to explain yourself over and over again. You don't even need them to agree with your choice. All you have to do is quietly start creating space. Maybe you talk to them less often. Maybe you don't share everything with them anymore. Maybe you stop answering every call or message right away. Maybe you step back and let them figure things out on their own, and through all of that, your heart can still be full of love. You can still pray for their healing. You can still hope the best for their life. But you're no longer letting them have full control over your time, your emotions, or your peace. Some people only change when they lose access. As long as they know they can keep coming back into your life without consequences, they won't see the need to grow. But when you step back, when you show them with your actions that something has to be different, they may start to reflect. And whether they change or not, you've done your part. You've loved them without losing yourself. You've honored your heart without becoming hard. That's strength. That's maturity. It's also important to know that limiting access doesn't mean building walls. It means setting boundaries. You're not closing your heart. You're protecting it. You're not pushing people away in anger. You're pulling yourself back in wisdom. And that kind of decision takes courage. It means you value your peace, your growth, and your emotional health. It means you've stopped letting guilt make your choices and started letting truth lead you. There will always be people who don't understand your boundaries. They might get upset. They might call you distant or say you've changed, and that's okay. You have changed, you've grown. You've learned that peace is better than chaos. You've learned that love should not feel like pressure. And most of all, you've learned that protecting your space is not an act of rejection. It's an act of respect. You're not choosing bitterness. You're not holding a grudge. You're simply choosing not to repeat the same painful pattern. You're choosing to love from a distance. You're choosing healing over drama, and that choice brings freedom. You may still care for them deeply. You may still remember the good times. You may even miss their presence sometimes. But don't let those feelings pull you back into something that's not good for you. Missing someone doesn't mean they still belong in your life. Some people are only meant to be part of your journey for a season, not forever, and that's okay. Letting go or stepping back doesn't mean the love was fake. It just means you now understand what's healthy. The truth is, love doesn't always mean staying close. Sometimes it means walking away quietly. Sometimes it means releasing people to live their own life while you live yours. And in doing so, you find peace again. You find yourself again, and you create room for healthier, more balanced relationships to grow. Life is too short to spend it trying to fix people who don't want to be fixed. It's too precious to give all your energy to people who only take and never give back. You were not created to be drained. You were not created to live in stress and confusion. You were created for peace, for purpose, for joy. And sometimes to protect those things, you have to make the hard choice to love people from afar. So if your heart is heavy because you've had to distance yourself from someone you care about, know this: you're not doing something wrong. You're doing something right. You're choosing a better path, not just for them, but for you. And that kind of love, the kind that lets go when needed, is the purest, wisest kind of love there is. One of the most important things you can do in life is to know who you are and hold onto that truth. No matter what people say, no matter how they treat you, and no matter what storms come your way. When you know who you are, it becomes your anchor. It keeps you steady when the waves of life try to push you around. But when you forget who you are or allow other people to define you, it becomes easy to lose your way. That's why staying anchored in your identity is so important, especially when you are dealing with difficult or toxic people. Toxic people have a way of making you question yourself. They twist your words. They ignore your efforts. They make you feel like you're not enough or like you're too much. They play with your emotions until you start wondering, is it me? Am I the problem? Did I really do something wrong? Over time, their behavior can wear you down and make you forget your true value. They may never say it directly, but their actions whisper lies into your heart. Lies like you're not good enough, you're always the problem, or you're hard to love. But the truth is, you are not who they say you are. You are who you were created to be. You are worthy of love, respect, peace, and purpose. You don't need anyone's approval to be valuable. You don't need to bend over backward to be accepted. You don't have to shrink yourself to be liked. You are already enough, and you have to remind yourself of that every day, especially when someone tries to make you forget. When you stay anchored in your identity, you stop allowing people's moods, words, or treatment to control your emotions. You stop taking everything personally. You stop trying so hard to prove yourself to people who are not even willing to see you clearly. You no longer let someone else's confusion become your crisis. You may still feel hurt at times, but you don't fall apart. You may feel disappointment, but you don't lose your direction. Because your worth is not based on what others say. Your worth is solid. Your identity is rooted deep. That kind of inner strength takes time to build. It takes self-awareness, faith, and truth. It requires you to spend time alone to reflect, to heal from past wounds, and to learn how to speak kindly to yourself. It means learning how to say, even if they don't value me, I still value myself. Even if they walk away, I still belong. Even if they criticize me, I will not lose my confidence. When you are anchored in who you are, you stop chasing people who are not good for you. You stop trying to earn the approval of people who only want to control or use you. You stop begging for love that hurts. You understand that true love, true friendship, true connection, these things are not forced. They flow naturally when you are with people who see you clearly and love you as you are. And sometimes, staying anchored means standing alone. It means walking away from relationships, habits, or places that no longer match who you are becoming. That's not easy. It can feel lonely, but that season of standing alone will make you stronger. It will teach you how to walk in truth. It will remind you that you don't need to be surrounded to be secure. You just need to be rooted. The world is loud. Social media, opinions, expectations, family pressure, personal doubt. They all try to tell you who you should be. They tell you to be more like this person, to do more of that, to look a certain way, to talk a certain way, to fit into someone else's idea of success or beauty or value. But if you listen to all of those voices, you'll forget your own. And you'll start living someone else's life instead of your own. That's why you have to keep going back to your true self. Remind yourself of who you were before the world told you who to be, before someone broke your heart, before someone disappointed you, before you started doubting yourself. Go back to the version of you that believed in something greater, the version of you that had dreams, purpose, and light. That version of you still exists. They just need you to come home to them. Staying anchored in your identity doesn't mean you never change. Growth is a part of life. You'll keep learning, healing, and becoming better. But the foundation, the core of who you are, must remain strong. You are not your mistakes. You are not your failures. You are not what people did to you. You are not the names people called you when they were angry or bitter. You are not the lies spoken out of jealousy or misunderstanding. You are strong. You are loved. You are chosen. You are capable. You are worthy of good things, and no toxic person can take that from you. Unless you give them the power to do so, don't hand over your identity to people who are still trying to figure out their own. Don't let their confusion become your reflection. Know who you are and walk in that truth daily. When you meet people who try to pull you out of character, stay grounded. When they try to make you doubt yourself, remember who you are. When they try to confuse you with mixed signals, games, or manipulation, hold steady. When they speak down to you, don't sink to their level. Rise above, and when they walk away, don't chase them. Stay rooted in truth. You never lose when you hold onto your identity. You only grow, and the more anchored you are, the less you are moved by what people say or do. The more you know yourself, the more peace you carry. The more peace you carry, the clearer your path becomes. And when your path is clear, you walk with purpose. You walk with boldness. You walk in love, but not in fear. So take time to reconnect with your true self. Be honest about what you feel. Heal what needs healing. Let go of who you're not. Embrace who you are, and when the storms come, and they will, you won't drift, you won't sink, you won't break, because you are anchored. And when you are anchored in your identity, you are unshakable. There are some people who come into your life for a reason, and not always for a lifetime. Sometimes they come to teach you something. Sometimes you're placed in their life to help them through a difficult season. Sometimes they bring lessons, and sometimes you bring light to them. These moments can be beautiful. They can be meaningful. They can even feel permanent. But the truth is, not every connection is meant to last forever. Some relationships, some friendships, even some assignments in life are only for a time. And when that time ends, you have to learn to walk away, gracefully, without bitterness and with peace in your heart. It can be hard to accept this, especially when you've poured your heart into someone, especially when you've prayed with them, cried with them, stood by them when no one else did. You may have believed it would always be that way. You may have seen a future together. You may have felt responsible to stay, to help, to keep holding on. But deep inside, something changes. The connection shifts. The energy isn't the same. The grace for that season lifts. And no matter how much you try to make it work, something feels off. That's often the sign that the assignment is complete. This doesn't mean you failed. It doesn't mean they failed. It means the purpose has been fulfilled. And when purpose is fulfilled, it's time to move on. Holding on beyond that point can lead to frustration, confusion, or even harm. Because when you stay in something that is no longer meant for you, you start to lose pieces of yourself. You begin to pour into something that no longer receives. You start walking in circles instead of making progress. That's how you know. This chapter is over, but walking away is not easy. It requires courage. It requires clarity, and it requires trust. You must trust that your steps are guided. You must believe that your value is not tied to a role, a relationship, or a person. You are more than what you gave. You are more than the part you played. And even though you walked with someone for a season, it's okay to let go when the road starts calling you in a new direction. Some people won't understand. They'll ask why you changed. They'll wonder why you're pulling back, but you don't owe everyone an explanation. When the time is right, peace will speak louder than your words ever could, and deep down, even they might know it's time too. It's just that sometimes people hold on out of habit or fear or comfort. But love is not always holding on. Sometimes love is knowing when to let go. You may carry sadness when you walk away. You may look back and remember the good times. And that's okay. Let those memories live in your heart. Just don't let them keep you in a place where you no longer belong. There's a difference between being loyal and being stuck. True loyalty is never about suffering in silence. It's about showing up while there is still a reason to be there. And when the reason is gone, it's about having the wisdom and strength to walk away. You were not meant to stay in every place forever. Seasons change, people grow, some grow with you and others don't. Some need you for a time, and then they're meant to go their own way. That's not a loss, that's life. And walking away does not mean you stop caring. It simply means you respect the timing. It means you honor the change. There are people you helped who may forget your kindness. There are people you stood by who may never thank you. There are people you gave to who may even turn against you. But don't let that change your heart. You did your part. You were faithful in your role, and that's all you were asked to do. You were never asked to carry someone forever. You were only asked to walk with them while your path and theirs were aligned. When the path separates, it's not failure, it's transition. You'll know when it's time to walk away. It may not always be loud or obvious. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's a soft nudge in your heart. Sometimes it's a growing discomfort that you can't ignore. That's your soul telling you the assignment is over. Don't ignore it. Don't stay out of guilt or fear. Don't stay because of what others might say. Trust the guidance. Trust the shift. And as you walk away, do it with grace. Don't carry bitterness. Don't speak badly about what was. Don't ruin the memory of a season that once had meaning. Instead, bless it. Thank it, honor it for what it was, and then move forward. There is more ahead for you. There is new purpose waiting. There are people who need the next version of you, but you can't step into what's next if you're still holding on to what's done. You are not abandoning anyone when you walk away from an expired assignment. You are simply aligning with where you are meant to be. You are giving yourself permission to grow, to breathe, to evolve. And you are trusting that those you leave behind will find their own path too. You don't have to be the hero in every story. Sometimes your job is to play your part and then leave the stage. Life moves forward. Let it. Don't be afraid to release what no longer fits. Don't be afraid to step into new spaces. Don't feel guilty for choosing peace, growth, and clarity. The people meant to go with you will stay. The ones who don't won't. And either way, you'll be okay. You are not losing. You are transitioning. You are not quitting. You are completing. So when the assignment ends, walk away, not with anger, not with regret, but with peace, because you've done what you were meant to do. And now it's time for something new. In the end, life is too short and too precious to be spent in constant struggle with toxic people. You were not created to live in confusion, fear, or emotional exhaustion. You were created to live with clarity, peace, and purpose. And while you may not be able to control how others act, You can control how you respond, how you protect your heart, and how you choose your path forward. So be wise, be kind, be strong, discern what's really going on. Don't just react, respond in truth. Love people, but don't give them unlimited access to your soul. Remember who you are and never lose yourself trying to hold on to someone else. And when the time comes to let go, do it with peace, knowing that not every connection is meant to last forever. Some people were never meant to go where you're going. Some doors must close so better ones can open. And some chapters must end so the story can move forward. Don't be afraid to turn the page. You are not walking away in weakness. You are walking forward in wisdom. And as you keep walking in truth, you'll find that your heart becomes lighter, your vision becomes clearer, and your life becomes more aligned with the purpose you were born to live. Keep your peace, protect your spirit, and above all, stay true to who you are. That is how you rise above, and that is how you win.